Wait, don't just watch. See this? One simple video is about to change everything. The ordinary becomes extraordinary when obsession awakens. Tonight, a new culinary legend is born. In the quiet shadows of the living room, a father sits mesmerized by his phone, the blue light casting a mysterious glow over his very intense expression. His eyes widen with sudden inspiration as he witnesses a master chef on screen using liquid nitrogen to transform humble noodles into a futuristic molecular masterpiece today. With a sudden burst of energy, he stands tall, his old blanket billowing behind him like a majestic cape as he prepares to embark on a quest. "I have finally understood the ultimate culinary truth," he declares with a voice full of passion, pointing his finger toward the messy kitchen with absolute conviction. Every step he takes resonates with the power of 1,000 chefs, marching toward his destiny to create the most incredible bowl of ramen ever known. He raids the kitchen cabinets with wild abandon, tossing aside the old seasonings like they are useless relics of a past life that he no longer needs. The sound of shattering glass echoes through the house as spices fly, but he does not blink, focused entirely on the grand vision of his cooking. His son watches from the doorway, a look of pure confusion on his face, as he wonders if his father has finally lost his mind over noodles. "Ordinary ingredients are for the weak and uninspired," he mutters while tossing a bag of sugar away, his eyes glowing with the fire of a chef. Standing amidst the swirling dust and broken jars, he looks like a conqueror who has just liberated the kitchen from the mundane shackles of ordinary food. The legend begins now, as he raises a simple wooden spoon high into the air, like a sacred sword ready to strike down any bad flavor. The small kitchen transforms into a majestic temple of flavor, bathed in a brilliant golden light that signals the arrival of a new culinary era tonight. He lines up his son and the confused neighbor like new recruits in an army, demanding their full attention as he prepares to reveal his grand plan. With a wooden spoon held like a royal scepter, he paces back and forth, his eyes scanning his audience for any signs of doubt or culinary weakness. The neighbor trembles, sweat pouring down his face as he regrets coming over to borrow a cup of sugar, now caught in a master chef's lecture. When the son tries to ask about the laundry, the father cuts him off with a dramatic sweep of his hand, silencing all mundane worldly concerns. "Laundry is ephemeral, but flavor is eternal," he shouts with such passion that the very walls of the kitchen seem to shake with his powerful words. "Do not judge an artist with your narrow mind," he whispers intensely, his eyes burning with a fire that leaves his son speechless and very afraid. He turns to a massive blackboard filled with complex equations and noodle sketches, explaining the deep physics behind the perfect bowl of instant ramen for all. "The formula for life is hidden within these starch molecules," he explains, pointing to a modified version of Einstein's equation that now features a ramen bowl. He taps the board aggressively, sending clouds of chalk dust flying as he breaks down the molecular structure of the seasoning packet in a frantic manner. The neighbor's mind goes completely blank as he tries to process the nonsensical math, his soul seemingly drifting away from the overwhelming absurdity of the situation. "Everything begins and ends with the noodle," he proclaims, drawing a giant circle around a single strand as if it were the center of the universe. He pauses to strike a contemplative pose, looking like an ancient philosopher who has just unlocked the secrets of the gods through a packet of noodles. The son looks directly at us with a weary sigh, silently begging for help as his father continues his endless lecture on the philosophy of starch. "Behold the first chapter of our journey, the liberation of starch," he announces as the kitchen fills with the imaginary scent of golden wheat and glory. The kitchen has become a high-tech lab, filled with scales, microscopes, and measuring tools, all dedicated to the scientific study of a cheap noodle packet. With surgical precision, he measures the length of each individual noodle, determined to find the perfect mathematical ratio for the ultimate bite of his ramen dish. Digital grids and numbers dance across his vision as he calculates the exact curvature required for the noodles to retain their maximum crunchiness after being boiled. "The golden ratio of chewiness is within my reach," he mutters frantically, adjusting his kitchen timer as if he were disarming a very dangerous explosive device. Driven by hunger, the neighbor reaches for a tiny stray crumb of noodle, unaware that he is about to trigger a defensive response from the chef. His eyes flash with a predatory light as he detects the intrusion, his reflexes sharpening to a point that would make a ninja feel very jealous. In a blur of motion, he uses his chopsticks to parry the neighbor's hand, defending his ingredients with the skill of a legendary martial arts master. The neighbor recoils in shock, nursing his hand as he realizes that this kitchen is no longer a safe place for casual snacking or hungry neighbors. "You dare touch the sacred components of the masterpiece," he growls, his gaze so cold it could freeze the very water he is about to boil. He lifts the cheap packet of ramen into the air, and for a moment, it glows like a holy relic destined to change the world forever. The sound of the plastic tearing echoes like a thunderclap, a signal that the transformation of this humble snack has officially begun under his expert care. Water cascades into the kettle, but not just any way. He carefully controls the flow to ensure maximum oxygenation for the perfect broth he envisions. "Behold the power of fluid dynamics," he explains, as he claims that pouring water at a 45-degree angle turns tap water into pure mountain spring. His reflection in the kettle grins back at him, a mad scientist ready to unleash a culinary storm upon his unsuspecting and very hungry family members. The sun fans away the rising steam, his patience wearing thin as the kitchen fills with heat and the sound of his father's nonsensical scientific theories. With the steady hand of a master surgeon, he adds a single calculated drop of soy sauce, believing it will shift the entire flavor profile today. A vibrant explosion of color ripples through the bowl in his mind, a psychedelic journey of taste that only a true visionary like him can see. His glasses catch the light, turning into white shields of pure intellect as he calculates the final stages of his 5-star ramen experiment in his head. He peers through a toy microscope, claiming to see the very soul of the wheat, analyzing the grain as if it held the secrets to immortality. A low chuckle escapes his lips, growing into a loud, triumphant laugh that echoes through the house, signaling the completion of the theoretical phase of cooking. "Prepare yourselves," he bellows, "for you are about to witness the birth of a culinary god and the most expensive, cheap meal you have ever seen." The battle between high-end theory and low-budget reality is about to begin, and there is no turning back from this path of delicious noodle madness tonight. Thick smoke fills the room as the father enters a state of flow, his hands moving so fast they become a blurry dance of culinary chaos. He chops the green onions with the speed of a professional drummer, sending green shards flying through the air like emerald rain across the messy kitchen. A stray piece of onion strikes the son's forehead, sticking there like a badge of dishonor as he stands in silent defeat amidst the flying vegetables. He brandishes a hairdryer like a futuristic weapon, blowing hot air into the pot to artificially oxidize the broth for a deeper and richer flavor. Through the thick steam and heat, his face remains a mask of pure determination, sweat dripping from his chin as he pushes himself to the limit. "Don't let the essence escape," he screams as the son tries to open a window, insisting that the thick, choking smoke is actually concentrated deliciousness. He performs a rhythmic dance with the tongs, lifting and plunging the noodles back into the water to shock them into a state of perfect texture. The neighbor gasps for air in the background, his face turning a slight shade of blue as the kitchen becomes a thick fog of onion steam. He inspects the surface tension of the soup bubbles with a magnifying glass, searching for the perfect mathematical alignment of fat and water in the pot. "Eureka!" he shouts at the top of his lungs, holding up a spoonful of broth that glows with an eerie and slightly concerning purple light today. He pours the seasoning packet from high above, creating a golden waterfall of MSG and spices that descends into the pot like a gift from heaven. The son resorts to wearing swimming goggles to survive the chemical warfare occurring in the kitchen, watching his father with a look of pure, unadulterated dread. He spins through the kitchen with the grace of a ballerina, grabbing plates and bowls in a dizzying display of domestic athleticism and pure culinary madness. He slams the final bowl onto the counter with enough force to create a shockwave, the sheer impact signaling that the masterpiece is nearing its completion. He falls to his knees before the stove, hands raised to the heavens as if he is summoning the ancient spirits of ramen to bless his pot. His son stands ready with a fire extinguisher, his finger on the trigger, waiting for the inevitable moment when his father's ambition turns into a fire. A dragon made of steam and noodles rises from the pot, a magnificent and terrifying manifestation of the father's obsession with creating the perfect five-star meal. Covered in soot and smelling of burnt onions, the father wears a wide, triumphant grin, convinced that he has just achieved true culinary immortality right now. With the delicacy of a master painter, he uses a tiny brush to place a single leaf of cilantro, ensuring it sits at the perfect angle. He wipes his sweating brow, leaving a trail of flour behind, too caught up in the ecstasy of his creation to notice the mess he has become. He lifts the bowl toward the ceiling, and for one brief shining moment, it looks like a glowing star that has descended into their humble home. A warning appears for all those watching, reminding them that this level of five-star cooking requires a lot of courage and a very good insurance policy. With a deep, shaky breath, he begins the long and dramatic walk to the dining table, carrying the weight of his family's expectations in his hands. The dining table has been transformed into a high-end restaurant, decorated with flickering birthday candles and a bedsheet masquerading as a very fancy silk tablecloth. The bowl is placed with great ceremony in the center of the table, hidden beneath a rusty metal lid that he probably found in the garage. He has quickly changed into a cleaner shirt, complete with a paper bow tie, looking like a world-class waiter ready to serve a king his royal feast. He clears his throat and unfolds a crumpled piece of paper, ready to deliver a philosophical speech about the deep meaning of the meal they're eating. His voice booms as he speaks of the noodles' journey from the field to the bowl, and the profound wisdom found in a salty broth of flavor. The son checks his watch. His stomach let out a growl so loud it sounds like a hungry monster trapped in a very small and dark cave. The neighbor struggles to stay awake, his eyes rolling back as the father's speech enters its 10th minute of intense philosophical rambling about the nature of salt. At last, he finishes his speech with a flourish and a bow, his hand trembling as he prepares to reveal the masterpiece to his waiting audience. The lid is lifted in slow motion, but instead of a glorious light, only a sad grayish puff of steam escapes into the quiet dining room. The reveal is less than spectacular, showing a bowl of soggy, gray noodles swimming in a dark liquid that looks more like mud than a broth. Despite the visual disaster, the father beams with pride, truly believing he has created a work of art that would make the best chefs cry tears. With hands shaking from fear and hunger, the son slowly reaches for the noodles, praying that they taste better than they look at this very moment. The neighbor takes a brave sip, but his eyes instantly bulge as the overwhelming saltiness hits him like a physical blow to his entire nervous system. His face cycles through several colors of the rainbow before he can no longer take it, forcefully spitting the broth right back onto the fancy tablecloth. The broth hits the father squarely in the face, but he remains unfazed, claiming that such a violent reaction is just proof of a taste explosion. One bite is all it takes for the son to turn into a literal statue of salt, his spirit leaving his body in a silent scream. The front door slams open, and the mother appears, her eyes narrowing as she sees the charred remains of her favorite and most expensive cooking pot. A new chase begins as the mother brandishes a burnt pan, chasing the father through the house while he screams about the sacrifices of true art. As the sun sets on this disaster, we learn that cooking is mostly delusion, but stay tuned for his next attempt